My name is Michael, and I'm about to tell you the most awkward and panic-inducing moment of my entire married life. What happened between me and my mother-in-law last Thanksgiving still gives me anxiety when I think about it. The title sounds absolutely scandalous, I know. But before you judge me or my family, let me explain what really happened that day. I'd been married to Sarah for 5 years. Her mother, Catherine, was a sophisticated woman in her early 60s, always impeccably dressed, always gracious, always the perfect hostess. She'd been a diplomat's wife for 30 years before her husband passed away, and she carried herself with the kind of elegant composure you'd expect from someone who'd attended countless formal events around the world. My relationship with Catherine was respectful, but somewhat formal. She was kind to me, but there was always a certain distance. A professional courtesy that felt more like international relations than family warmth. Sarah explained that her mother had always been that way, proper, controlled, emotionally reserved. That Thanksgiving, we were hosting at our house for the first time. Catherine had flown in from Boston, and Sarah's brother Tom and his wife Lisa were also joining us. It was important to Sarah that everything go perfectly, and I could feel the pressure mounting as the day approached. The morning of Thanksgiving, I was in the kitchen at 6 a.m., starting the turkey. Sarah was still asleep, and Catherine had apparently woken early as well because she came into the kitchen in her bathrobe looking for coffee. "Good morning, Michael," she said in her refined accent. "You're up early. Had to get the turkey in the oven," I explained, wrestling with the massive bird. "Sarah's counting on me not to mess this up." Catherine smiled a rare, genuine smile. "Between you and me, I think she's more nervous about my judgment than the actual dinner. Are you that harsh a critic?" I asked, trying to keep my tone light. "I suppose I can be exacting," she admitted. "It's a habit from years of diplomatic dinners where everything had to be perfect. But I'm working on being less intimidating." We chatted while I prepped the turkey, and for the first time since I'd known her, Catherine seemed almost relaxed. Almost human. She told me stories about disastrous Thanksgivings from Sarah's childhood, and I found myself actually enjoying her company. "Michael," she said as I finally got the turkey in the oven, "I'm glad Sarah found you. You're patient with her anxiety, and you clearly care about making her happy. I love her," I said simply. "I can see that." Catherine paused, looking like she wanted to say more. "I know I can seem cold sometimes. It's not intentional. I struggle with expressing affection. Always have. You don't have to explain," I started, but she held up a hand. "No, I want to. Sarah's mentioned that you think I don't approve of you." "That's not true. I've just never been good at showing warmth. My own mother was the same way, all British reserve and stiff upper lip. It's a terrible inheritance to pass on to one's children." I was touched by her honesty. "For what it's worth, I think you're doing fine," she smiled again, and this time there were tears in her eyes. "That's kind of you to say." The day progressed well. The turkey was perfect, the sides were delicious, and even Catherine seemed to be having a good time. She laughed at Tom's jokes, complimented Lisa's contribution to the meal, and generally seemed more relaxed than I'd ever seen her. After dinner, we moved to the living room for coffee and dessert. Everyone was full and happy, the conversation flowing easily. At one point, Catherine excused herself to use the restroom. When she came back, something seemed different. Her face was flushed, and she seemed slightly unsteady on her feet. I assumed she'd had a bit too much wine with dinner, which would have been completely understandable given the festive occasion. "Are you all right, Mom?" Sarah asked, noticing the same thing I had. "I'm fine, dear. Just a bit warm." Catherine fanned herself with her hand. We continued talking, but I kept an eye on Catherine. She was definitely not herself, swaying slightly, her eyes unfocused. Then suddenly, she stood up. "I need to tell you all something," she announced, her words slightly slurred. "I've been holding back my whole life, being proper and reserved and diplomatic. But today, surrounded by family, I realize life is too short." "Mom, maybe you should sit down," Tom said, looking concerned. No, I need to say this. I need to show you all that I can be affectionate, that I'm not just some cold, unfeeling diplomat's wife. She looked around the room, her gaze landing on me. Michael, you've been so kind to me today, so patient. Come here. I stood up, thinking she wanted to shake my hand or something. But as I approached, Catherine grabbed my shoulders and started leaning in toward my face. My brain short-circuited. Was my mother-in-law trying to kiss me? In front of my wife. In front of the whole family. Time seemed to slow down. I could see Sarah's eyes widening in horror. Tom's mouth falling open. Lisa starting to stand up. And Catherine, determined and slightly unfocused, coming closer and closer to my face. Catherine, I don't think I tried to step back, but her grip on my shoulders was surprisingly strong. I'm being affectionate, she declared, like a proper mother. I'm going to give you a proper familial kiss. That's when two things happened simultaneously. First, Sarah jumped up and grabbed her mother's arm. Second, Catherine completely missed my face and instead planted a kiss on my shoulder. Mom. Sarah practically shouted, "What are you doing?" Catherine blinked, seeming to come back to herself. I was trying to give Michael a kiss on the cheek, like European families do, to show I accept him as family. You were aiming for his lips, Tom said, still looking shocked. I was not. Catherine protested, but then she swayed again and had to sit down abruptly. Oh dear, I feel quite strange. How much wine did you have? Sarah asked, examining her mother's face. Just 2 glasses, Catherine said. The same as everyone else. That's when I noticed something. Catherine, did you take any medication before dinner? She thought for a moment. Oh, yes, I took my allergy medication. The new prescription my doctor gave me. Why, my heart sank. Did you check if you could drink alcohol with it? Catherine's face went pale. Oh no, I didn't think to check. I've never had a reaction to medication before. I grabbed my phone and looked up the medication she'd mentioned. Sure enough, the warning label was clear. Do not consume alcohol. May cause dizziness, confusion, and loss of coordination. We need to call poison control, I said, already dialing. What followed was 30 minutes of controlled chaos. Poison control advised us to keep her awake and hydrated, monitor her symptoms, and head to the ER if they got worse. Catherine was mortified. Sarah was hovering anxiously. Tom was Googling drug interactions. And Lisa was making strong coffee. I can't believe I tried to kiss you, Catherine kept saying, her head in her hands. I was aiming for your cheek, like the European greeting. And everything was so blurry and spinning, and I thought I was being warm and maternal. And instead I nearly kissed my son-in-law on the mouth in front of everyone. You missed my face entirely, I assured her. You kissed my shoulder, which was weird, but not scandalous. I'm so embarrassed, she moaned. This is exactly why I don't try to be affectionate. I'm terrible at it even when I'm sober, and apparently catastrophic when I accidentally mix medication and wine. Mom, it's okay, Sarah said, though she still looked pretty shaken. It was an accident. A really weird, uncomfortable accident, but an accident, as the medication worked its way out of Catherine's system and she sobered up. We were able to laugh about it nervously at first, then more genuinely. Catherine's embarrassment was so profound and so sincere that it was impossible to hold it against her. I wanted to show you I could be a warm, affectionate mother-in-law, she said to me later, when she was more herself. Instead, I became a cautionary tale about reading medication labels. For what it's worth, I said, I appreciated the sentiment. Even if the execution was ... problematic, she actually laughed. That's diplomatic of you. You'd have made a good ambassador's spouse. The rest of the evening was spent discussing medication safety, family affection, and the importance of always reading warning labels. Tom wouldn't stop making jokes about Catherine's aggressive European greeting technique. And even Catherine eventually joined in the laughter. I suppose this means I don't have to worry about seeming cold anymore, she said wryly. Now everyone will remember me as the mother-in-law who tried to kiss her son-in-law at Thanksgiving. Could be worse, Lisa offered. At least you'll be memorable. That's what I'm afraid of, Catherine replied. But she was smiling in the weeks that followed. Catherine sent me a handwritten apology note, which was probably the most formal apology for attempting an accidental kiss that's ever been written. She also sent a new bottle of wine with a note that said, to be consumed only after checking all medication interactions. The incident, weirdly enough, actually improved our relationship. Catherine was so mortified by what had happened that she dropped a lot of her formal reserve. She started being more openly warm with me, not trying to kiss me, thankfully, but hugging me goodbye, asking about my life, showing genuine interest. I figure if I've already humiliated myself by accidentally trying to kiss you, she said during a video call. There's no point in maintaining diplomatic distance anymore. The worst has already happened. Sarah told me later that her mother had never been so openly affectionate with any of her previous boyfriends or with her brother's wife. I think she needed something to break through that wall she's built around herself, Sarah said. It's just unfortunate that it had to be a medication-induced near-kissing incident at Christmas. Catherine gave me a gift, a medical alert bracelet that said check medication interactions, and a framed photo of us from Thanksgiving. Looking awkward but happy, so we never forget the importance of reading warning labels, she said with a laugh years later. It's become one of our favorite family stories. Remember when Grandma tried to kiss Uncle Michael? Sarah's nieces and nephews will ask. And Catherine will launch into an exaggerated retelling that gets more dramatic with each version. I was approaching him like a heat-seeking missile, she say, gesturing wildly. Determined to show affection, powered by antihistamines and Chardonnay, completely unable to judge distances or appropriateness. So yes, my mother-in-law did try to kiss me. But it wasn't some scandalous affair or inappropriate advance. It was a woman who'd spent her whole life being emotionally reserved, accidentally mixing medication and alcohol, trying desperately to show familial affection and completely botching the attempt. And honestly, I'll take an awkward, medication-fueled near kiss over cold, distant politeness any day. At least now I know she cares, even if her methods of showing it occasionally require calls to poison control.